Why do so many of us become agnostic? It seems to be the going trend for ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. A lot of us just become agnostic or atheist. At the very least, we're usually not religious after leaving the cult. And I wanted to talk about why I think this is and my personal experience with all of this. Because I myself am now an agnostic. It bothers me that a lot of Christian fundamentalists and even people that are in my friends and family act as if this is a choice. They say, oh, well, you should believe. You need to believe. And, how dare you, not really have a lot of faith in the Bible anymore and all this other stuff. As if we had a choice. As if I just woke up one day and chose to be an agnostic. And this is something that really hurts and bothers me a lot. And so I wanted to talk a little bit this morning about why I think we become agnostic. There's a lot of reasons. First off, I'm going to start off with my personal experience. My personal experience is that, and I think this is true with Jehovah's Witnesses in general, we grow up thinking that we are objective in our thinking. We're conditioned to believe that we are truly critical thinkers who examine things factually and objectively. And when you do the research, your faith gets shattered because everything that you thought you believed in, everything that you believed in so strongly, it comes crashing down to the ground. When you do the background research about the organization, about its history, about the failed prophecies, about things being wrong and out of context, like the blood doctrine, like a lot of scriptures talking about the last days not really applying to our day, not really, giving any evidence, self-evidence that they are any part of modern day fulfillment. Along with so many other things that, we believe and believed as Jehovah's Witnesses, after all that comes crashing down, you start searching for truth everywhere. A lot of us do. I know I did. And you start wondering, well, what is true? If the witnesses don't have it right, then who does? And then as you do research, and a lot of us ex-witnesses do, you start to realize that everything that you believed about Jehovah's organization and about what you thought the truth was is not true. And it's like waking up from the Matrix. So then you start doing research on other religions. Then you start doing research on evolution. And then you start doing research on the Bible itself. And you find things like a lot of evidence that the Gospels were written long after the fact by possible third parties that weren't there, that heard the stories and embellished on them. And then when you try to go and find this stuff in secular history, you can't really find any truth backing up the divinity of Jesus or the Bible or anything of this sort. And so, your Christian fundamentalists or Jehovah's Witness friends and family, they condemn you for this newfound knowledge that you have, which makes it even more discouraging and even tougher for us agnostics. Because it's not like we got here by choice and woke up one day not wanting to have accountability and not wanting to be accountable to a good, loving God and Creator. It's just when we have done the research, the deeper you dig, the deeper you get. And you realize that there's no bottom to any of this. Nothing can be explained beyond the shadow of a doubt. And that gets frustrating and it gets discouraging to the point where we just say, I don't know. And there you have an agnostic. Because to me, an agnostic is the most honest position you can take. I mean, things can't be explained through evolution or pure materialism either. They're assertions. You know, you look up things like the fragments of Lucy, are one of our best examples of the ape to man theory, and you find just that, fragments that can be interpreted in many ways, kind of like the Bible and prophecy and a lot of other things. They can be interpreted in many ways. But when you go back and you actually look for the hard evidence, the observable evidence that makes you know that this is definitely something you can see and rely on, you don't find it. Things like evolution are debated, and things like the Bible are debated because it's just that. They're still up for debate. Nothing's been proven beyond the shadow of a doubt. No matter how atheistic or agnostic or whatever you want to be or religious you want to be, that's just the plain truth of it. So don't get mad at me for saying it. That's just the reality of the situation, and it sucks for all of us. I would love to know the truth. I would love to sit here one day, wake up, and know that there is a loving God up there who is looking out for us eternally. But the truth is, we don't know. We have some things in the Bible that are interesting. You know, like the mention of the earth and the creative days that seem to make a little bit of sense. But you know, as far as a lot of the other things, like the divinity of Jesus and the miracles that he did, a lot of the things that happened as far as Noah and the flood, these are things that can't really be substantiated. These are things that we could go back and search in the, you know, archaeology and secular history, and unfortunately not really find anything to support it or to substantiate it. And this sucks for all of us, especially the ones who do want to believe. Just because I'm an agnostic nowadays doesn't mean that I don't have a profound respect for the Bible or for Jesus or for science. It means that I respectfully am not convinced either way. I am open and honest enough and humble enough, I would like to think, to admit I don't know. Mankind does not have all the answers. We don't even have most of the answers. It seems like we really have hardly any answers, to be honest. So I think that's kind of what happens to Jehovah's Witnesses. We are taught from the beginning, this is the truth. We are objective people. We go by scripture and things that can be proven. We don't just put our faith in just anything. We study things. And then you find out that as a witness, that's not true. We just go along with what Watchtower tells us to think. But when we go and we do the research for ourselves, we look up the original Hebrew and Greek words for things, we go back and we look at doctrines in their context, we go and we do the archaeological history of trying to prove the divinity of the miracles and the amazing things that happen in the Bible. We continue to run into dead ends, brick walls, and bottomless pits. Rabbit holes that seem to never end. And so a lot of us, I think, just get frustrated and discouraged after a while. And we just throw our hands up and we say, we don't know. We can't be an atheist, but we can't be Christians anymore or religious either, because we really have no way to prove or verify anything. All we have are little shreds of evidence to hold on to that may be the truth. But the truth is, we still don't know. And that's my personal experience. So, I'm an agnostic. And I don't fully believe in evolution. And I don't fully believe in, you know, a lot of the Bible either. And I say that respectfully. I say that with regard to wanting to believe. Because I don't definitely not want to believe. I had an interesting conversation the other day with John from ExJW Analyzer. And we've had a couple of conversations about this. And I've talked to other people about it in the past. And it's something that I kind of agree with myself. That, you know, in spite of lack of biblical evidence as far as divinity is concerned. I mean, yeah, secular history can verify Jesus was real, or maybe a couple of other people were real, but they can't really verify the miracles that actually happened, which you would think people would be ranting and raving over if they were real, if they really happened. They wouldn't be written 40, 50, 60 years after the fact in the Gospels that disagree with each other, that you later find out had things added into them, and that you really can't verify because it's not first-hand information. You can't even prove it was written by the actual apostles that they claim wrote it. And you can't find that. You can't prove that. But, I agree with John, and he's done a lot more research about this than me, that I don't think the materialistic explanation of the universe is, valid to explain the whole universe either. I don't think it just doesn't explain it. It doesn't explain it fully because, it can tell you the mechanics of things, and it can say, oh, well, there were self-replicating molecules that somehow turned into RNA, which turned into DNA, which eventually progressively moved upward in its scale of complexity to where we are now. And to me, that doesn't explain the emergence of consciousness or other things like that. It doesn't explain some of the things that we've seen that appear to be supernatural. So, no, I don't believe that the materialistic explanation, strictly the materialistic explanation of the universe, fully explains it either. But as far as, the recollection of Bible accounts, biblical accounts, these can't be verified. And a lot of people who leave the witnesses, who grew up believing that they were avid studiers of objective truth and verifiable data, find out that they were nothing of that sort. I think once that happens, I think they, like me and a lot of other ExJWs, become agnostic. And so that's my story of how I became agnostic. And I think that is a great explanation of why most ExJWs become agnostic too. Thank you for watching.